thought.
Do you think they should ask this question in school? Like
Yes, they should do so much more educational
in
finance.
high school, yep, teenagers probably won't listen. But again, we've met 18, 20, 21-year-olds who are just out of high school that have thought of this and have given it some thought and have some plan in place.
Any advice and information from this podcast is general only. It has been prepared without taking into account your individual circumstances and needs. Before acting on any advice from this podcast, you should assess and seek advice on whether it is appropriate for your needs, financial situation, and investment objectives.
Sorry, what do we call? Not another finance podcast.
We are, definitely.
That's us.
Yep.
Yeah. We're talking what we'd say to our younger selves, and we've gone a bit deep on the last few actually.
We have the deep dive hasn't finished, but we'll see how deep we can go.
It's been insightful.
We've probably gone from like snorkel gear probably to some scuba gear, but we'll see what the rabbit warren uncovers, and we'll sort of go from there. But hopefully, the last few episodes have been pretty insightful for everyone that's listening, and it lets them, at the end of the day, happy for you to listen, but also happy for you to, I guess, ask yourself some questions that might challenge yourself or help you grow a little bit, or let you take a step in a different direction to sort of open up some other.
It's interesting we're doing this at the start of the year as well.
Very reflective. It's been an interesting sort of month or two. Everything I should have done in my 20s that I end up doing in my 30s and 40s. Yeah.
But you got there. We get there.
It's a never-ending journey. You'll never really get there per se, maybe, but at least it's a step in the right direction.
You're doing okay. Yeah.
We covered a few things in our last sort of couple of episodes. Reflecting on what we'd be chatting to our younger self about. How would we explain some things to them? What would we outline to them about superannuation? I think was one we talked about investing, just the mindset side of things. It's something at the end of the day, if we're being real with it, doing something will be probably more beneficial than not doing something. Especially in the finance realm, when a lot of our clients kind of want to get to somewhere or make their money work hard, or they don't want to rely or even think about the government pension. Well, if that's the case, generally speaking, you're going to have to do something with your assets and your money. You might. So, and for a lot of our clients that are a bit older, one thing we definitely come across is, which we'll cover in a bit, is kind of what they've been through and what they wish they'd told their younger self or done, implemented or whatever. So
I guess our younger selves would kind of almost rush into things too when they see something really appealing.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. You can't always think about the repercussions down the track. So yeah, but all right.
Have you had anything like that where it seems too too good to be true and you've had a go at it or investigate it?
Good question. Yes, one was, I think a couple of episodes we talked about my first sort of investment, which had it was a bit of a loose investment, definitely wasn't controlled through government agencies or anything. Went on for a few years, great rate of return, paid in cash, everything done by paperwork. Lasted a few years and then it kind of went under. And a heap of people I know definitely lost some might have benefited a heap from it, but a few of them definitely, with that, it was kind of too good to be true. I guess that I never really fell for too many of like the get rich quick advertising schemes or anything. YouTube wasn't really massive when I was 20. Didn't really kick off till I was probably 21 when it became, so 2006. When I was 20, I was 20, 2005. Guess to answer your question, experience-wise, what was I, about 22, 23 when I bought my first house, 22. Just listening to the agent that sold us our first house. At the time, end of 07, real estate market was pumping. In the space of, similar to what it's doing now, in the space of a couple of weeks, there'd be an extra 10, 20 grand on that house if it sat there and you're like, what if we don't get in now? And you chat to this real estate agent, nothing against real estate agents. I've got a good mate who's a real estate agent and I know a few. We've actually had one on the podcast. He's one of the rare, really good ones. Shout out to Lachlan Curt at Northern Realty.
Yeah.
He's one of the really good ones, but the one I chatted to, when I think back on the conversation, they're like, slapped me. I had a gut feeling that this wasn't, well, the housing market was just pumping along. No, you'll be fine. If you don't buy it now, it's going to go by another 50 grand in a month anyway. Can't go wrong with bricks and mortar. You'll make money on this. Like all these things.
Yeah.
So that's probably my little lesson. I guess I'd learn more about how much skill and knowledge real estate agents have. Can't wait for the hate mail to come in from all the agents out there. But let's be honest,
No,
if
they're
I
good.
can, you know, some are really good and knowledgeable, but at the end of the day, they're kind of a sales agent to move a product. They're like the mediator. So
There's always good and bad in every occupation too, yeah.
that's true. You know, they are trying to sell you something for top dollar. They don't really. So, what about yourself, Joe, mate?
I remember getting caught up, YouTube had come out.
Here we go.
Back when I was in my 20s.
Yep.
You started to see the videos on people's phones and you go, whoa, how's the video on the phone?
Yeah.
And they'd just be spruiking all the investment properties, and if you get one, you can leverage the next one and the next one, and you just got to buy them
Yep.
cheap. And I was
Yep. Did that nearly get you there? Like, did you set up like we're going to save 20, 30 grand to buy our first house, then we're going to use the equity and we're going to.
yeah,
Oh.
I love property and I like design and renovating and stuff like that. So I thought, oh, this would be so fun. But down the track, you do the numbers on these things, and you're like, oh, it's not as good as they said it was going to be.
Some people work really well.
Yeah.
Again, there's a heap of TV shows out there, say 10, 15 years ago, a heap of those reno shows. They buy the place, it's a skeleton, they do the mad renos, doing 20-hour days on the show. Who was the dude? It was really funny, the old tradie guy and his foreman were really good.
Oh, who was that?
I can't remember, but those shows, and they'd show the final product, it'd go to auction,
Yeah.
they'd sell it for, some would sell up here, and you're like, I can do that.
Yeah, but then they don't, like on the social media and the TV shows, they go, oh, we've made $1 million, but they don't kind of go, oh, these were the costs and this was all like all the deductions.
Gross.
from
Yeah,
that.
okay, funny that.
So yeah.
That's a valid point to sort of chat to your younger self now that you've raised it. You hear it a fair bit talking amongst people when we talk about, especially real estate, because you're buying and selling in the hundreds of thousands, maybe millions. Oh, gee, yeah, Bill, like 3 years ago, and I've got a few clients that bought for 300 grand and are selling for 657 in the space of like 3 and a bit years. Gross profit, you do the math, like that's 350 grand. And you're like, well, what's the net profit from that? And I automatically think, well, what's the net profit from that? Be honest with yourself, and what's like the percentage return? And look, some of them are really good. Some people have just magically, same thing. They've stumbled on, oh, we should buy a house. Let's buy a house. They bought at the time when the market was down here.
Yeah.
And now, for whatever reason, they're moving or they're selling, and the market is it's up here, and they've made buku coin.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's a few big nights in Vegas, a couple of tattoos across the forehead.
Just a few.
But I guess if I was chatting to my younger self, just to try and find out a bit about the detail. Don't worry about, as you said with YouTube, like the sales pitch you see on the interweb.
So impressive.
Yeah. Okay. Valid point.
If it's too good to be true, maybe take a second thought. Is that the punchline?
Yeah, it's probably a good summary as well for both of us, or even outlining to our younger selves. If there's an inkling, like for me, when we were buying that house, I think I chatted to some family who didn't know too much about real estate, but I had a gut feeling like, how is this thing worth this much? Like, average area. Nah, this doesn't. And it was a lot back then. It was like, quick math. I think we bought for 353 or something, and we ended up selling for about 255.
Do you mind, or do you feel comfortable sharing with all of it?
I'm flat at being comfortable right now. Go, shoot.
With all our viewers, because I feel like a lot of people, and when you challenge this, people are like, how could you lose money on
Just
a
the
property?
market,
Do you feel comfortable
I can lay it out now. And there's actually a couple of clients, maybe down the track, we'll talk about the bad side of that. They're very similar to me. So managed to go overseas, save up a heap of money. We were keen to buy a house because we thought that was the right thing to do, even though now I look back on it. Anyway, towards towards the end of 2007 for nearly 12 months. 2007, real estate in Townsville had just been going up and up and up and up and up because it was so cheap.
2000.
Same thing, we got pre-approval loan, went away for 2 or 3 week holiday, come back, and we had to get an increase in our pre-approval because the houses we were looking at had just jumped up.
Yeah.
So owners were literally knocking back offers, and offers were just beep, pop, 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 pop,
So similar to what's happening now, I guess.
similar to what's happening now.
Yeah.
And so we're like, if we don't, and chatting with the agent, we had a couple of interested ones that were sitting there, kind of the lesser of evils. That's what we can afford. But the agent was like, look, if you don't get in now, you're gonna miss the boat. You'll be priced out. I'm like, oh. Yeah. So paid top dollar. We settled the start of 2008. Pretty sure it was about 350 something, 353.
Yeah.
3 better, 1 little study, normal block, 1 bathroom, normal house. Anyway, bought in, that's fine, moved in, did all that kind of stuff. Fast forward a few years, GFC happened towards the end of 2008. So, by then interest rates were up here, which we felt the sweat on. By the time we bought our home, had our loan, interest rates had crept up. We were floating around the 7s or 8%. Google it if you want.
What did you start on? What percent?
I can't remember. It might have been maybe like the 5s or 6s. Have a look at the.
Few percent.
But markets were peeping. GFC happened end of 08. Financial markets and markets tanked. Real estate, especially in Townsville, even some of the big cities felt the pinch. Prices depreciated. Interest rate went down, but no one was really buying, especially in Townsville. Long story short, change of some careers. By that time, 2011, we bought another house, block of land, built a house, moved in, kept that first house. We'll just run it out. That's what to do. Hemorrhaging, like negative geared. I think it was costing us a couple hundred a week.
Yeah.
200 to 300 a week in negative geared, high interest rates.
That'd be hard with having 2 properties.
Yeah, we had like the new mortgage, and then fast forward a bit more, we had a couple of kids. 2016, 2017, we had our second kid. 2018, your second kid's about to go into daycare. Our first kid was in daycare, like all these other costs. Our property was still negative geared, and we're like, we nearly sold it a little bit before, but the offer was like 70 grand under. So I think we tried selling when my wife was pregnant. We got an offer that was about 50 or 70 under. I'm like, no way. Like, just again, didn't do the math, didn't really seek some professional advice. Like, so I do that for clients now. They'll come in and we talk through and go, this is what it looks like. I didn't really do that. I think we sold in 18 and it was about 97 to 100 grand value loss.
So that was 10 years later.
8 years. It will
8
take 8 years-ish. That was just the Townsville market at the time. As you know, Townsville market was pretty, in some areas, in a few areas, it was pretty stagnant till post-COVID recovery. And now even the pretty average areas are even experiencing big growth, So that's sort of what my journey was like. Maybe one day we'll chat about what people can do to minimise the loss if they owe the bank more money than what they got for their property. Because there are loopholes. And so loopholes, there's legal parts that can help you out that they just don't tell you about. It can save you tens of thousands, and it did for us. But that's sort of my journey, but that was definitely a raw experience, and it took me a bit to mentally recover. Like, I was like, that's it, we're ruined. Like, at the end of the day, when you look into it, you're only early 30s, you got heaps of time. Lessons I learnt from that, I've definitely taken into the future. Not to say I won't do real estate again, but it'll have to tick a lot of boxes to make it viable. Now,
do you think like your younger self when you bought the property, were you thinking, oh, I can afford the repayments now? Like,
it's easy.
we've got good income.
It's good to
Did
go.
you think because I think you were planning on holding it long term, did you think 10 years down the track,
didn't really give it much thought.
Can we still afford it 10 years down the track?
Yeah, bought the first one, that's fine. Managed to save up a heap of money again, worked really hard. My wife and I saved up some money, built another one. I don't know what we're going to do with them. Oh, probably let's keep it real estate. Like, Can't go wrong.
Yeah.
By that, we didn't have any kids at that stage, so cash flow was good. Can afford it. Not really given too much thought on, negative geared, but what's the growth doing in the background? Not much. Stagnant.
And you can't predict that either, like what's going to
Not
happen.
really.
with
Yeah,
economy.
there's ebbs and flows. Whether it's share markets, real estate, you still want to be looking at long term. Look, some people can definitely do it. They can buy and flip and make good coin, 100%. But eventually they may get caught out. But that's a case by case basis. So yeah, that's sort of that's that experience there on that one.
Thanks for sharing. Don't cry.
I'm gonna need a fucking week off after this.
Relax.
Revisit old wounds, but again, like I mentioned, the people that have, whether as a summary, talking to your younger self, you could say it was a hard lesson, potentially a failure, but it's more of a lesson than anything. Be different if we'd sunk all our money into it when we were like 50 and lost a heap, then you've got a bit less time to recover.
That's more life-changing.
But this happened in our 20s and early 30s. A lot of lessons, and be open to those lessons. It's a challenging one. But so when we're talking to our younger self, how would we outline how different generations define success? How would you define it to your younger self? What does success look like for you at 20? In a financial sense, and what does it look like now when you're 30s?
20, I was just like, I just need a good career.
Yep.
But I was just like, just need, I'm getting my degree, just need to get a job, and I'm set. That's all I thought at that time. I didn't have all these other thoughts like, what's my super doing? Should I be investing? Should I be putting extra money aside for the future? Well, I like saving, but I didn't think that much of it. I just thought.
Do you think they should ask this question in school?
Yes, they should do so much more education on finance.
In high school, yep. Teenagers probably won't listen. But again, we've met 18, 20, 21-year-olds who are just out of high school that have thought of this and have given it some thought and have some plan in place. I think even for some 18-year-olds, now that everything's out there, you get it spammed on your socials about people making money and all these kinds of things, investments, opportunities, what to do, what not to do. It's definitely on the thought thing, especially when it's about financial success. People give it more thought.
That's true.
But it's funny, I was just trying to get your insight on J-Mac now, talking to 20-year-old J-Mac. Hey, dude, or dudette, what's success look like for you? And maybe you should just tweak your thought, for some people, success is, like, as you mentioned, do a degree, get a good job, live happily ever after. Everyone measures success totally differently. I mean, if you were to talk to Musk and there's no right or wrong, because everyone is different. We talked about that before. Some people, we can show them all the info, all the data, coach them through everything. Hey mate, if you leave your money in the bank account, that's great. Keep saving, that's great. But in 10, 20, 30, 40 years' time, compared to other investment opportunities, there is a big difference. Some people just don't.
Yeah, no,
Hey,
interesting.
I know we're talking about super. I just want to leave my money in cash. I just don't want to deal with any stock market drops or when real estate tanks, or if there's been like super funds that have had projects fall over where they've lost hundreds of millions. They don't want to deal with that. That is true. But generally, there's enough evidence out there to really solidify that, if you take on a bit more risk in some of your investments, it will bear a lot of fruit. We talked about that in our last episode with Fitzy Not So Smart and Fitzy Smart, I think. Just tweaking a few things that get you potentially bigger returns over time. There's a big difference. So you've got to be real with yourself. Hey, do you want to be at this spot at 30, 40, 50? If so, you might need to do a couple of things.
I think it's interesting too, because I never thought of it. You put money in a bank account and the interest rate, depending on what's happening in, average 10 years, the interest rate could be 2%, it could be 4%, 5%, but inflation is typically about 3%. So
You're right.
got money sitting in a bank account earning nothing or 2%, you're kind of in the
Let's just
middle
call it
of
even
nothing.
before. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a valid point. It's compare that to, and people, slight segue, but when we talk about say success, the financial success side of having an investment go well, which is good. When share markets tank or contract a bit, which they will do over time, and we're not escaping that. For some people, for some of our investors, they already know that that's an opportunity to dabble a bit more or buy in because they're not worried about themselves at 25. They're worried about themselves at 40 or whatever. Yeah, super is very similar. Yeah, okay. That's and what about? What do you reckon? 20-year-old J Mac could tell 30-ish-year-old J Mac. Let's put it in reverse.
Reverse it.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Hey, old girl, shut your mouth. Listen to me. This is what you should do.
What are you doing with your
Yeah.
life now?
Yeah.
It's so different to what we imagined. Yeah, I don't know. I think 20-year-old would be really surprised at where my life has ended up actually.
That's some deep reflection.
Why did you change careers? What are you doing?
Yeah, you have done a few career changes, but they've kind of been for the better. Sometimes you need to do that. It can't be all about the financial, which I've mentioned to some clients. Some clients have some juicy high salaries, comes with the big pressure. They do the big hours. I've even got some friends that do that. That's great, but is it sustainable? Maybe not. Does it support their lifestyle? Yeah, sure. They can do their holidays, nice car, other crap, I guess.
Yeah.
In the background, are they building some other financial stuff to help them out down the track? Maybe, maybe not. But yeah, it's funny you've taken on a board. Hey, maybe your first degree didn't work out. I want to go do something else. It's funny that, yeah.
Yeah.
Would I
What would
still
you
join
say?
the army?
Huh?
My body tells me no, and sometimes my mind. But 40-year-old
Yeah.
Fitz is like, oh, don't do anything.
Mm.
But there is a lot of things I got out of it that money can't buy. So
Sounded like you had a lot of fun at the same time.
man, sorry for another time, but if you're a young dude or dudette, unsure about what you want to do, obviously the army's different now, or defence is different to what it is back then, but you did some awesome stuff and got paid for it. Look, you might not make the same as, you don't have to do a degree or anything. That's the upside. If you're not sure, because like yourself, there's heaps of other people that do an apprenticeship or degree. A few years later, like, stuff that, I'm not doing that. You can kind of do a heap of upskilling in the army or defence. You can do some pretty awesome stuff. For me, the perspective is a young man's game. I'd probably still tell young Fitzy to, yeah, probably give it more of a crack. Don't
Oh.
be scared of some of the failures that might come up. But in a financial sense, it's comfortable. A lot of people join it because at the time, I remember I was meeting some of my guys that I'd look after that come into the team were joining because the civilian world during COVID and stuff, or even before that, wasn't working out well, whether they were tradies, teachers.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. Like, defence gives you solid income, comfortable income. It's a few challenges there, but yeah, I don't know. Probably.
It's cool. You'd say.
I have to learn things several times to really take them on board. So I'd probably still join again. Yeah, yeah, cool. And look, have you got what about some things that you'd tell 20-year-old J Mac that you don't really regret, or what worked really well? How would you put it across to young J Mac? Like,
Oh, I've always loved travel.
yep,
I feel like I don't regret that at all because I've spent a lot of money on travel, but it's.
lessons from it. I suppose we're on the topic of what you did really well. Regret's a pretty harsh word, but regret's still there. It's an emotion that
Yeah.
Yep.
I feel like I learned so much, got to experience how other people live, made me grateful to have all the things that I have, and I feel like that drove me even more in my life and made my life more meaningful. But
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about, my first degree in study. I don't know if I regret that or not.
Yeah.
Because I learned so much. It made me who I am. So
Yeah.
I feel like maybe I don't regret that. That was still okay. I had a little fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I rented 11 different houses before I bought. my house
Dang.
at the moment. I love renting and going to different places and setting up. So I feel like
Rent's like this bit of a dirty word. Like, and even young kids, I know young kids in towns will find it tough to get rentals just because of how tight the market is. But
yeah,
like, seems sometimes, if you talk to like a 30-year-old, oh, I'm still renting. Some people are like, before you jump, like,
yeah,
but there's pros and cons to it. You've really got to dig into what they're doing in their life to find out if it's viable. But it's interesting. Yeah, I guess I didn't. I only rented a little bit when I was young. Rented a few places with some mates and my wife now. But during the army, they can kind of supply with accommodation, so you kind of get forced into rent, but then you can buy. There's heaps of incentives. Yeah, it's
What are yours, Yannick? What don't you regret?
uh don't I regret taking the plunge maybe to do the whole army thing. It was interesting because you move locations, totally different career. Don't regret. Don't regret doing uni. That was probably a big one. I was a late bloomer at uni. I was mid early to mid 30s before I started uni.
Yeah,
That was a massive step forward. My wife sort of helped me with that and a few other mentors because I was like, oh, never really grew up with that kind of mindset, but it's what I wanted to do. Don't regret learning a bit more about investment stuff, making an educated guess or taking on educated risk. Because a lot of people, and I tend to do it a bit, I paralysis by analysis, and I might talk myself out. But if there's enough boxes ticked, buying into that fund or buying that share or trying this type of investment or this strategy, that is something I don't regret because it's worked out really well. There's heaps of people you'd probably be the same. You meet clients who go, oh yeah, I was gonna do that career, or I was thinking about buying those shares, or I was gonna buy real estate. Try not to dwell on what's happened, but you've got to use it as a lesson. Well, if you'd done that, this is kind of where you'd be.
yeah,
Same thing as what we talked about a couple of episodes ago. Man, if you hadn't bought that 130 grand Mercedes, that's worth 60 grand now.
mm,
If you'd put, I don't know, that 50 grand in bought an investment property or savings or whatever, you'd be in a different position. Yeah, yeah. But no, I've got a few definitely happy moments on a few things that have worked out. But yeah, and a lot of this, like to sort of summarize, a lot of this is sort of stemmed from clients we met, what they've outlined, and the key thing, and I think you mentioned that what we sometimes hear from clients once they've seen us for the first or second time, they're usually like, oh, I probably wish I'd done this earlier. Is that something you've heard a bit?
all the time, and it like comes from 20-year-olds or like 40-year-olds, 60, 70, 80.
Yep.
But I think today is better than tomorrow. So
Don't know what you don't know. Whether it's us or other advisors or professionals out there, obviously the reputable or good ones, but I guess taking that plunge, yeah, you'll probably pay fees, but it might get you a step in the right direction.
and give you peace of mind, like
Yeah,
just to have someone help you and guide you, and even just give you a second
yeah.
check. That's
Suppose it helps combat that thing you might say down the future. Oh, I wish I'd done that. And a lot of
mm,
people do that. I think whether it's in life, travel, had kids, business, tried a new job or promotion. Nothing against people that just do that same job 10, 20 years. There's nothing wrong with it, but I guess don't then sort of dwell too much or don't get angry too much on the what ifs or what other people are doing because, yeah. And that's, we're talking about the financial sense, but
yeah.
it's definitely take on some risk and you see what it kind of
Mm.
pans out. All right, Joe, mate.
Thanks,
That,
guys.
that might do us for talking to our younger self.
I think we've talked enough to our younger self.
Yeah, our younger self will probably thank us. Maybe I'd love to, if I could go back in time, I'd love to see how I could outline the strategy. When I'm talking to my kids now, they're like, "Oh, Dad."
Yeah.
Actually, no, a lot of the things I definitely, I try and highlight some things that do bear fruit or work out how I mentioned.
Mm.
I'll kind of just go, oh, I mentioned that, that's going to happen or this is going to happen.
Yeah.
And I feel, as I said before, like I give them a bit more financial knowledge now. It'll come. I can see the wheels turning there.
Might be healing your younger self through your children.
Yep, 100%. Because I didn't get a lot of that education, and if my kids started now 16, 18, by the time they're my age, they'll be shouting me this.
Be giving you a big cuddle later on.
Yeah, they better. Yeah, but cool, Joe. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
All right, we'll see you in a bit, Aim. Thank you.
Bye.